welcome back to another edition of the Burnout with yours truly, Tony. And we're going to dive right into it. We're going to pull in this box and see what kind of inspirational quote we can pull out, if we pull out any. The quote of the day: people learn how to treat you based on what you accept. Straight to the point. People learn how to treat you. If you let them run over you, they're going to run over you. So people always learn how to treat you based on how much you take from them. So, if I was them, just don't be a rogue, don't be a floor mat. Don't let people walk all over you. Well, what we're gonna get in today is we're gonna talk about the Sonya Massey killing. And I said we were going. When I found out more information, I would deliver it to you. So I have found out more. Come to find out, this ex-deputy who killed Sonya Massey had a history of complaints involving women. So this dude evidently liked to, from what I'm reading, beat women, harass women, and evidently kill them. But let's go into this, and then I want to get into that sheriff, because he's the one that's on the hot seat. He finally resigned. If I was the mayor, I wouldn't let him resign. I'd have fired him. Now, we'll get into that in just a minute. The sheriff's deputy charged with the fatal shooting of Sonya Massey in the face has been the subject of several complaints, allegedly belligerent behavior toward women. A USA Today review of public records shows. Despite the complaints, the county sheriff deputy Sean P. Grayson was never prohibited from working in law enforcement and moved from one police agency to another. The records show calling into question how he got the job he held when Massey was shot. The July 6th killing of Massey has sparked national outcry over police brutality, coast-to-coast demonstration, and a federal probe by the Justice Department. The hiring practice of the Sheriff Department have also been under fire from Illinois Governor J.B. Pfizer, who earlier this week formally called for Sangamon Sheriff Jake Campbell to resign, expressing frustration with how the sheriff has responded to Massey's death amid the growing pressure and questions about Grayson hiring. Campbell said on Friday he will step down and retire. Springfield City leaders are calling for a review of the department's hiring practices in the wake of Massey's killing. Sangamon County Board member Kevin McGuire called for an outside investigation team to look at the sheriff department hiring practices. I would say that's paramount, McGuire said. Among the complaints against Grayson that are on file in the Illinois in an allegation by a former inmate at the Logan County Jail who wrote in an official complaint filed in December 2022, that Grayson ordered her to expose herself to him. I felt very violated, says Chelsea Lowe, an inmate confronted by Grayson in a drug search. Grayson denied the accusation and resigned from the Logan County Sheriff's Office before the complaint was formally investigated. If you didn't do anything, what did you resign for? Seemed like you would. If you didn't do anything, then there would be no reason for you to resign. You resigned because you know you had did something. And we'll get into that in a minute. With investigators no longer pursuing the complaint, Grayson in May 2023 joined the Sangamon Sheriff's Office, where he was employed when he went to Massey's home and shot the 36-year-old mother of two in her kitchen last month. He now faces three first-degree murder charges and has been fired. The ex-deputy also faced accusations from his former wife in divorce proceeding that he treated her with repeated acts of mental cruelty. A separate citizen complaint against Grayson in May alleged that he unlawfully tried to intimidate a 17-year-old girl while trying to enter a house, who without having obtained a warrant, yelling at her and threatening to put her in cuffs if she didn't let him inside. The complaint was found not sustained by one of Grayson's fellow officers. USA Today review of public records about Grayson years in the law enforcement and from his personal life comes amid national outrage and calls for police reform over the killing of the black woman on July 6th. Grayson's criminal history also shows he had two DUIs and a questionable discharge from the military. The sheriff office and attorney for Grayson did not respond to repeated requests for comment on the history. Grayson worked as a sheriff deputy in Logan County, north of Springfield, from May 2022 to the end of April 2023, according to Illinois' law enforcement training and standard board records. Parts of the duty included working at Logan County Jail, where in December 2022, a female inmate filed a grievance accusing Grayson of very inappropriate behavior, according to a county disciplinary file obtained via open records request. Lowe wrote in her Logan County Sheriff Department grievance during the course of being arrested, she told officers she had drugs hidden in her vagina. Grayson told her to remove the drugs in front of him, according to the complaint. I went to do as he instructed, feeling very afraid and forced to do such as an action, she wrote. She stopped at the instance of a female officer and was taken to a doctor to remove the drugs. While in the hospital bed, completely exposed, Officer Grayson flung the curtain back and exposed me to him and I believe two other male officers, Lowe wrote. I felt very violated on both occasions and was unsure how to handle this, she said. Lowe could not be reached for comments. Divorce over extreme and repeated acts of mental cruelness. In June 2015, Grayson's wife, Alexa Grayson, now Alexa K. Pitchford, filed a petition for a dissolution of marriage in the circuit court of the county, the same county where Grayson grew up and believed became a police officer for 7 months in 2021. Richard gave the following reason for seeking a divorce from Grayson. The defendant has been guilty of extreme and repeat acts of mental cruelty without cause of provocation. The mother did not respond to requests for comment on the nature of the cruelty referenced to the divorce papers. Alright, it just goes on and goes on with the same thing. But let's just dive right into this real quick. The thing about this is this sheriff who hired him should have resigned, and the reason he should have resigned, because you knew the track history this guy had. It says he had a history of cruelty to women and some of the other grievous acts he did. When you're strip searching a woman in search, it's supposed to be women officers who do that, not men. And you can see that he did all these heinous things because he said there was no repercussion about anything he was going to do. So the sheriff finally resigned, even though he said he wasn't going to resign, but he should have resigned because you are the one who hired this guy, even though you knew his track record. His track record hasn't changed from the time he killed Miss Massey till 2022. He has a track record. This has been going on for a while. His ex-wife said in a divorce that of cruelty, just being a nasty individual. Now, why did this sheriff, in my opinion, thought this was a good hire? Beats me. He should never have been hired for any law enforcement position, period. There's nothing, no law enforcement, he shouldn't even be dog catching. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If he has a history of being cruel to women, of belligerent behavior towards women, then he shouldn't even be in law enforcement at all. See, people like him give law enforcement officers a bad name because now they characterize every law enforcement officer as being this guy. And some of them are not. I'm just gonna be some of them are not, but you have some of them that are. And this sheriff, and I agree with all the criticism the sheriff has gotten. When you did the hiring process, how did you miss all of this? This was in plain sight. There's nothing in here that you should have missed. This dude obviously has a problem with women. It's not nothing coincidental. It's not his first act. He has a history of ongoing history of having issues with women. And you still hide this guy? The records don't lie. Then you got 2 DIs on top of that. So obviously this guy's got a problem. But you yet and still hiding. Then he said, well, with the allegations of the woman that he wanted to see naked. Then he said he denied the allegation, but then you resigned. If you did nothing wrong, what did you quit for? That's all I'm saying. If you quit, that means something happened that you know happened, and you wanted to get out before any charges were brought about. That's just how it is. You can color this any way you want. That's what happened. So now, we got all these extra details coming out about this. This dude just has an issue with women. When you hired him, you seen his track record. What did you see on that paper that you just ignored all that? So now the sheriff at first said he wasn't going to resign, but once all these allegations started coming out about the hiring practices, you had to see it and you just ignored it. Now it's coming back on you. So what you do is resign. I would not have let him resign. He would have been fired. You're not walking away with your pension, buddy. I'm not going to let you get off the hook that easy. You're going to get fired, and if it was up to me, you'll lose all your pension. And you can say you didn't kill Miss Massey, but you put her in a position to be killed because you hired this individual, which is blatantly shows by the record that he has an issue with women. So you get a woman who calls you about a problem. So the smartest thing y'all can do is send a person who has a history of belligerent women to a woman's house. How does that make any sense? What's so God-given ever? I said on the show previous, there's more to this story than meets the eye. And now we know what the story is. This dude just has a problem with women. I don't know what his problem is, but he definitely got a problem with women. So now we got a sheriff who hired a guy that's got a history of belligerent females. Or belligerent behavior toward females. And the smartest thing you could do is send him on a, they dispatch him in to a place where it was a woman there. You should have done anything but that. You could have sent him anywhere but that. But number one, you should have never hired him. That's the key element. You should have never hired him. You should have been fired. You shouldn't have not had the opportunity to resign. You should have been fired, not resign. You should have been fired. That's the crazy part about it, is that why don't y'all let him? This could have been avoided if he wasn't hired. If he was never hired, this incident would have never happened. See, the thing about police and sheriffs and any law enforcement is, I don't care how bad you are, you can always go to another county and get another job. See, when you do something like this, you should not be allowed to go to another county. You should not be allowed to get the opportunity to get another job. Your career should be over with right then. Where there's smoke, there's fire. If they got evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence of your behavior toward women, then this sheriff should have never hired this guy. See, I don't know, and they keep telling me, well, he slipped through the system. He didn't slip through anything. You let him walk through it. He didn't slip through anything. You allowed this to happen. And guess what it did? It happened. This is, I don't know, there's no easy way I can say this. It happened. I don't understand how you allowed this to happen. That's the only part that's puzzling me. This dude got all the earmarks of a bad officer, bad law enforcement officer, and you still hired him. So how did you, if that was a black guy, would you have done the same thing with the hiring process, or you would have denied him based on his history? Because I thought it was an overall applications, overall your performance, the way you act. I thought that was overall, not just one incident here, once. So you looked over the bad stuff. And from the looks thing, he didn't have a lot of good stuff going on. So you just overlooked all the bad stuff he did and hired him anyway. Now it came back to bite you in the ass now. Now you don't have a job. And you as sheriff who resigned should not be allowed to go to another county and get another job, because we know your decision making is pretty much trash. That's just how it is. And I'm not talking about all law enforcement, but you got so many in here that are bad that it overshadows the good ones and the good deeds that the good officers do. Until the good officers stand up and condemn these one like this, just condemn them, it's gonna continue. They always told me change happens when people who are not affected are as outraged as the ones that are. That's when change happens. Until that happens, there will be no change in this process. Until polices are outraged about what other polices do, there's not gonna be no change. See, they got this brotherhood where they got this creed, a code of ethic that they stand by. No matter what they do, they stand by. No, push them sorry summer guns out front and let them deal with it. You have to be more outraged than the cry from the public. You have to be pissed off that this officer done this. You gotta come out and speak against this. That's the only time change is gonna happen. Well, now we know what happened, now we know how it happened, and now we know the circumstances of what occurred to lead up to all this. I knew it was more to it than this. So we know now. Well, let's just find out what his punishment gonna be. You know what I think his punishment should be: death. I'm sorry, I think he should be killed too. Executed, whatever you want to say. But I'm gonna put him in general population and let them do what they do. It is what it is. You didn't care about her, why should I care about you? Hey, but that's all the time we got for today. Hey, we appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week, same time, same place on the Burnout. And remember, always flame up, never burn out. Hit that like and subscribe button, and you get all the videos. 2 fingers. Peace.